Yeah, it's been a little bit. Um, haven't been exactly doing the best, but today we're back to things, and it's probably gonna be a two-part video because there's a lot to talk about, and a lot to whatever, and it's an important topic, and it's something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and it's part of this is a big part is mental health and men's mental health and how we process things and how we handle things. And so, um, if you guys have been watching this at all, you know what's going on. My wife wants separation. I don't. I, whatever. No. I was doing things well. I was going to the gym every day. I was whatever, not drinking or doing anything. And, one day I kind of slipped up, and then that day to continuation. It's like it always does. It's why you gotta stay away from it. But um, you trick yourself into thinking that things are a little bit better, or because you're kind of numb to the situation. Um, that's not the case. That's yeah. So anyway, forewarn you. A lot of what I'm gonna say is graphic, not as in a sexual nature or anything, or not as in a, but if you're uncomfortable with certain topics like suicide or like things like that, then just don't watch this. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm not here to be fake about anything. The truth is the truth, and whatever happens is whatever happens. So the fuck is the point of lying about it? I got to a point where I felt very hopeful, and then um, some things happened. You know, seeing her, talking to other, somebody else, or just understanding, like, thinking that nobody really cares. Feeling alone, and I got to the point where I was ready to do something that you can't take back. You know, you got to be very careful with the verbiage that you use on here because they fucking block you for anything. But I was ready to end things. I had a plan, a time, a place. I went as far as to write a fucking 3-page letter to, more an apology than anything for being weak and, uh, failing. Because at the end of the day, it is failure. It's, and that's whatever, Lawrence Kohlberg said, different people. There's two types of people. There's dandelions and there's orchids. Like an orchid is, you know, the weather changes a little bit or it doesn't get watered for a day and it dies. A dandelion, people walk all over it and stomp on it and fucking half the leaves come off of it. And the next day, your yard is full of dandelions again. And, this is his talk about resilience. And it's mostly based on, like, childhood trauma and everything. But it's something you should read into if you're interested in that type of stuff. But, yeah, I fell more into the orchid thing. I had to realize, I'm a dandelion. I have been my whole life. I've I grew up in a single parent household. My mom dealt with addiction herself, and um, I've always bounced back. So, um, there's nothing I'm not capable of bouncing back from. But um, with that said, as a man, you got a lot of pride. You don't want to burden other people with your problems. You don't want to fucking. Everybody's got problems. It's like, especially myself. I've, some of the jobs I've worked and just my personality. Like, I feel like people are always comfortable to talk to me. Um, a lot of people, when they have problems of their own, listen. listen to me, respect what I have to say. I've helped a lot of people. I've helped a ton of kids. Working at Northeast Parent and Child. Kids that the system had kind of written off like they're going to be a lifer, and then got through it, and they ended up with foster families. And some of these kids, write me. And it's a beautiful thing. I'll get a text message, a random Facebook message. Yo, Jarrell, I got a car. Da da da. I'm playing for the varsity football team, and like when I tell you, like rewarding things in life, there's not much more rewarding than knowing like you help somebody in the worst time of their life, and sometimes that time is very ugly, and your time with them is very ugly, but um, getting them through that is something that's special, to say the least. And I'm very fortunate to have done that as many times as I have. Even once, I mean, it's amazing. Um, I'm no hero. I'm just a regular person that's trying to, I don't know, try to be a good person. It's hard sometimes. Um, but yeah, I was in a dark place, and I was about to really fuck up a lot of things for a lot of people. Fuck up the rest of my life. You know, influence the rest of my kids' lives, my wife's life, my family, and that's a tough pill to swallow. And my wife saw a lot that I wish that she didn't, and I wish I could take back. And she called some friends of mine, my jiu-jitsu coach, told them what's going on, and I was mad, I was embarrassed. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Why would you like? Now I look like a bitch. Like that, I'm like even more mad in my head. And then like, all these people reached out to me, and like, it wasn't to make fun of me. It wasn't to say, what the fuck, pussy. It was genuine love and care. And I can tell you that is why you're seeing this video, because when I tell you I was right there, I was right there. It's not. It's an ugly thing, man. It really is. And I talk to people that I love and that I have a lot of admiration and respect for, and like my professor Alan, he's like telling, talking about just different trials and tribulations that they've gone through, and um, yeah, man, we made it. We're here. We have another day, and every day could be better than the last day. And you talk about rock bottom. And it's like that's got to be it. You're on the edge of divorce. You're fucking sitting there ready to take an express ticket to the other side, and not giving a fuck what anybody thinks at that point. And I'd say that's about as bad as you can ever get off in life. So it's all up from here. Uh, the I guess that's a good place to end. We'll just go to second part, because we can only do 10 minutes at a rip, and that's 9. And yeah, so I'll see you for part 2. And as always, if you took the time to watch, thank you. If nobody said they love you, I do. And stay blessed.